We're talking planning this morning. You would have seen the green paper released by the state government on Saturday morning, not a day when I traditionally look for the intellectual stimulation of a green paper on planning, but there you have it. So a bit dry, a bit dull, but we all care about it, and it is the stuff of so much angst in this city, isn't it? So will you force yourself to read it and make a contribution to the green paper process? Because that's what you can do for the next few weeks, is put in your views on the green paper. It had already been leaked in part, of course, in particular the idea that communities will be asked to agree in advance to some things in the areas, like the height of future buildings, and then it's just sort of go, go, go for anything that comes within the bounds of that community agreement. But that's not the only thing in there, so let's try and tease it out a little bit. The Planning Institute of Australia is a not-for-profit organisation that gathers planning experts together, and the current president of the New South Wales chapter is planner Sarah Hill, who joins us on the line this morning. Sarah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, you had input into the green paper, didn't you? Who else did?
The Green Paper was a collaboration between the Department of Planning that picked up on a number of recommendations that had been made by the independent panel elected to engage with the community last year and undertake a series of workshops to really get a better understanding of how we needed to change our planning system.
So that was the independent panel with former Ministers Ron Dyer and Tim Moore.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. And so when we see that they made 370 recommendations, but many of those recommendations aren't in the green paper, that's because there was a further process of consultation after that, after the independent panel's work.
Well, the Green Paper, just like our planning system, we are attempting to try and simplify it, and so it's really streamlined a lot of those recommendations and picked up on some of those key ideas. And so many of those recommendations were taken forward. Many of them are at far greater detail than is required in a Green Paper at this stage.
So what are the key recommendations, the dot points, if you like?
Look, one of the fundamental changes will be a greater emphasis on the strategic planning and community engagement side of things. And so very much the Green Paper talks to community and stakeholder engagement being at the start of the planning process, when we can really make a true difference to what our communities look like, rather than traditionally at the end of the process where the development applications already come in and there's not a lot that can change at that stage to the look and feel of a development.
So you see this as a better consultation arrangement that's being proposed?
One of the key foundations of the Green Paper is to improve community consultation, contrary to a lot of the fears that have come out in the last few days. But certainly the entire aim of the paper is to improve consultation and really to get engagement and feeding from the community and to allay some of those fears about the development process and planning in New South Wales.
Yeah, because I think people have felt when that, the leak came out about that, agreeing in advance on height restrictions, for example, to, something general that will happen in the sort of unknown future. I think a lot of people feared that was taking power away from the community.
Well, quite the contrary. I mean, my members have very strongly advocated for a change in a system whereby members are empowered to have a say at the start of the process. And through better ways of doing things, electronic planning, better use of technologies, the Green Paper is trying to actually improve the efficiency and the ability for people to actually have a say now. So it really is trying to better inform people and bring people on the journey rather than, as I said, at the end of it, make some minor tweaks to something that the community didn't want to see.
So it now goes through the consultation process with the community.
Yes.
What do you think would be the ideal outcome? What should the New South Wales planning system look like?
Well, I think a lot of the key ideas my members have been really pushing for over the last few years, and a review of an Act that's now 30 years old, have really come through in the Green Paper, and we're very encouraged by it. The key thing I'd like to see is many of these ideas about simplifying the planning system, about improving the culture and the can-do attitude of planners and the development industry in New South Wales, about becoming more performance-focused and outcomes-driven driven. The key thing is seeing those changes through and making sure that they actually come through to a white paper rather than being lost or watered down in between the green paper and the white paper.
Sarah Hill's, I guess, New South Wales President of Planning Institute of Australia. Sarah, I mean, I can imagine many people will be saying, yes, but you speak for the side of the process that is about development. And when it comes to individuals like me as a taxpayer sitting in my house when a DA comes through, it's really the first time, notification of a DA nearby, it's really the first time I am likely to be interested in engaging in the planning process. It's not going, it's not something I'm normally going to be doing. I think a lot of people are still going to fear that power will be taken away from voters who vote for local councils.
Well, let me start by saying that planners have a role of supporting communities and listening to communities, and we balance between developers and communities the right outcomes. And to know those right outcomes, we need to better plan and we need to better understand what the communities are looking for. So really the whole focus is to really better understand and better engage with communities at the front end so that when a development is proposed in an area, it is considered in keeping with what we want to see. I mean, we need the change to happen in New South Wales. We need additional housing. We need jobs. We need additional services and community support services, and we need development to be able to achieve that. And for that reason, we need to plan appropriately for it. We can't say no all of the time. I mean, we really need to start planning and developing in areas where the community tells us it's appropriate.
And what about paying for infrastructure and so forth? I mean, traditionally we expect our local councils to do that. Developers do it in part, but in a fairly haphazard way, I think we'd argue across the city. How should that happen in the future, in your view?
Well, definitely infrastructure is a key issue, and there's wide agreement that we need to improve our infrastructure across New South Wales, but particularly in those greenfield areas where we're relying on additional housing to happen and where there is a lack of infrastructure at the moment. And so the Green Paper talks to a host of different mechanisms to achieve that, and there's no one silver bullet. It really has to come from different levels of government. I mean, there definitely has to be additional government support for infrastructure, and it's something that they're identifying in their budgets at the moment, and through various different ideas such as urban activation precincts, whereby the government is actually providing infrastructure for communities to improve their facilities.
Will it mean extra taxes on us all?
No, certainly the intention is not to do that, but rather to be a little bit more clever in the way that we plan. And so rather than providing infrastructure on an ad hoc basis, we actually look at an area where we're planning and we tailor the infrastructure and we prioritise infrastructure in that area.
Well, it's got a few months to run with the Green Paper consultation process, doesn't it? So